Hey everyone, so I am here to do the Algebra 2 classwork for today. Um, so there are three parts to each question. Let's just start with the first one. The first one, it gives us, I have 10 degrees and 370 degrees. Okay, now each question has three parts. Part A, tell me if the angles are coterminal or not. Okay, you remember coterminal just means that they start and end in the same spot. So pretty much just, we know that 360 degrees and 2 pi wrap around the full circle, right? I have 360 degrees, or there's also 2 pi in radians, okay? And so if I choose, there we go. So if they're coterminal, they might be different numbers, but they still might start and end in the same spot, right? If I look at 10 degrees and 370 degrees, if I draw a graph for it, which is actually part B, then I know that 10 degrees is, well, this is 90. This is like 45. 10 degrees is just kind of barely getting up there. So that's about 10 degrees. And also I know I can draw 370 because I can draw 360 around. So that's 360 and another 10 because that's 360 plus 10, okay? Now, are these the same angle? Of course they are. Well, they're not the same angle, but they are coterminal angles. So the answer to A will be yes. So 10 degrees and 370 are both coterminal because they both start here and end here. Even though this one goes around a full circle, I don't care. I just care that it also ends in the same spot. Okay? The answer B is right here. I drew the graph. So B, draw the graph. If they're coterminal, then they'll be the same line. They are. Now C, what quadrant are they in? And you remember it's like a clockwise. It's like clockwise. So this is I, or 1. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So starting here, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so for C, clearly they're in quadrant 1. Or, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could say 1, 2, 3, or 4. Doesn't matter. So A is yes, B is this graph, and C is a quadrant 1. That's quadrant 1. Okay, number 2. 20 degrees and 400 degrees. Okay, so A, well, if they're coterminal, then I should be able to add or subtract 360 degrees and have them be the same. What's 20 plus 360? It's 380, right? So if it's 380, are they the same? No, they're not coterminal. They're no. Why? Well, you see, because when I draw the graph like this, 20 degrees is like a little bit right here. It's just a sketch. 400 degrees, it's 360 plus another 40, so about right here, okay? So they're 20 degrees apart, right? If this was 380, then they would be coterminal because 20 plus 360 is 380, so they would just end at the same spot. But because it's still greater, this is still greater, so they end at different spots, okay? That's the answer to B. Answer C, what quadrant are they in? They are both in still the first quadrant. Right, they're both in this corner. That's quadrant 1. That's quadrant 1 right here. Okay, number 3. Negative 50 degrees and negative 410 degrees. Okay, I'm basically looking, is their difference 360 degrees? Well, I know that, let's see, negative 50 minus 360 is equal to negative 410. Sorry, Negative 50 minus 360 is equal to negative 410. Is this negative 410? Yes, it is. Therefore, they are coterminal, yes. So they should start and end at the same spot. Okay, let's draw the graph. Now here we did clockwise. I started here and then I went in a clockwise direction. That's for positive angles. Because it's negative, I'll be starting here and going counterclockwise. Actually, the other way around, sorry. This is counterclockwise and this is clockwise. I think I get confused all the time, but basically it does the other way around, right? If it's negative, I start here and I go down 50 degrees, so about right there. And then I have negative 410, so that's negative 360 is one rotation, and then 50 more degrees is the next one. And so this is 50 degrees, and that's 410 degrees. They start and end in the same spot. What quadrant are they in? They're in 4. Right, they're in this bottom quadrant, so they're in quadrant 4. All right, let's do the next one. So the next one is 4 is negative 220 degrees and 120 degrees. Okay. So for these to be coterminal, I must be able to add 360 right here because I want a number around this area. I know if I add 360 to this, I'll get a number that's around here. So I'm gonna try that. Negative 220 plus 360. What that is just the same as 360 minus 220. 360 minus 220, well that's 0. 6 minus 4 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 140. Is this 140? It's not. Right, so they are not coterminal. They're going to start and end in different spots because even if I add 360, they're still not the same. So they're not coterminal. Okay, when I draw the graph, I'll make it kind of small just for space. This will be negative 220, right? This is negative 90. Negative 180 and negative 270. So negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, just the other way around, just the opposite way. So I will be doing about right here. Okay. 120 degrees. This is positive 90, positive 180, and positive 270, right? It's the other way around, going in the opposite way now. That would be about right here. So there's still a little bit of a ways off. That's 120, and that's negative 220. This is positive 120, that's negative 220. Okay, and what quadrant are they in? 1, 2, they're in quadrant 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, they're in 2. Number 5. Okay, this one's a little bit harder. 500 degrees and 860 degrees. All I'm looking for is that if I add or subtract 360, I can get the other one. Well, this one looks pretty simple. What's 500 plus 360? That's 860. Are these the same? Yes, they are. So they are coterminal. So all I'm saying is that I can add 360 or subtract 360 from one of these and they'll be the same, right? Because 360 is a full rotation. I don't care about a full rotation, right? It could go around as many times as I like. It still ends somewhere. So if I add 360, I would go one more rotation around. If I subtract 360, I would go another rotation back the other way. But it'll still end in the same spot because 360 is a full circle. So it's like nothing happened. Nothing changed. Okay, so 500 will be in the positive direction. So I'd go for 360. How many's left over? 500 minus 360 is 140. So I need another 140. That'll be about right here. Okay, For 860, I need to draw around once, you draw around second time, and finally end at the same spot, right? Because 860 minus 720 is 140. So to 720 around, so 1, 2, that's 720, plus another 140. So 360, 360, 140, I'm here. They are coterminal, and they're in quadrant 1, they're quadrant 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Number 6. Okay, pi radians and 3 pi radians. Now this one's... Now you remember 2 pi is a full circle, right? A full circle is 2 pi radians around. So all I'm asking is, between pi and 3 pi, is there difference 2 pi or some form of that, right? Well, what's pi plus 2 pi? Pi is 1 pi, right? This is just 1 pi. 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 pi plus 2 pi is 3 pi. Therefore, these are coterminal. Yes, they are coterminal. They are coterminal. And if I draw the graph, remember this is pi over 2. This is pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So it's very similar to this up here, but just in radians now, okay? Pi is right here. 3 pi is 1 around, and then also right here. So they're on this line. They're on this left line right here. So what quadrant are they in then? Because if they're on this line right here, how am I supposed to know? Is that 2 is at 3, okay? So your answer to this should be between 2 and 3. They're not in a quadrant, but they're between quadrants. They're between 2 and 3. So this would be the correct answer to part C of this, because they're both on this line right here. Okay, we're almost done. 3 pi over 2 and pi over 2. Well, if you look right here, this is pi over 2, it's 90 degrees. This is 3 pi over 2, it's 270 degrees. 270, 90, it just is like up here. So, are they coterminal? No, right? Because, let's say if I want to add 2 pi to this, 2 pi is the same as 4 pi over 2. Because 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I'm just writing this as a fraction. So now now I have a common denominator. Now I can add this. It's 5 pi over 2. Is 5 pi over 2 equal to 3 pi over 2? No, 5 and 3 are wrong. I mean, they're incorrect, right? They're not the same. So no. In fact, if I draw it, it looks like this, right? This is pi over 2. This is 3 pi over 2. If you still need help, I have been posting images and videos and diagrams of these reference spots right here. So this one will be right here. And this one will be on the other side, right here. Okay, now I made this hard because I asked you what quadrant are they in. Well, the proper answer to this is 3 pi over 2 is between quadrants 3 and 4. 3 pi over 2 is between 3 and 4. And pi over 2 is between quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. That's 2 right there. Okay, now this is hard, right? I don't expect you to know this right off the bat. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from here. That this line is just between 3 and 4, but this line is just between 1 and 2. That's pretty easy, but I understand all this together might be a little bit tricky. That's fine. I think I'm gonna run out of space here, but let's proceed. 4 pi over 3 and negative 2 pi over 3. So now these are a little bit tricky, right? Okay, what happens if I have negative 2 pi over 3 and I add 2 pi to it? What happens? Okay, I want there to be over 3 here. I want there to be this. I want there to be a divided by 3 here. Since then, these two are match. Well, what divided by 3 is 2? Or rather, what's 2 times 3? 2 times 3 is 6, right? So negative 2 pi over 3 plus 6 pi over 3. Now, the reason why I did this is because now these are the same. Now I can add this top part. What's negative 2 plus 6? Well, if we go from negative 2 to plus 6, or rather, sorry, what's 6 minus 2? Negative 2 plus 6 is 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. This is 4 pi over 3. Is that the same as this? It is. Okay? Therefore, yes, they are coterminal because I added 2 pi and got the other one. It looked like this. Okay, so this is pi over 2. That's 3 pi over 2. That's pi. That's 2 pi. Right, I'm just doing this just so I remember. Okay. What about pi over 3 or 2 pi over 3? Well, 4 pi over 3 is it greater than 0? Yes. Is it greater than pi over 2? Yes. Right, this is about 1.33. So I'm looking at this. I know 4 is greater than 3. So this 4 over 3 is greater than 1, right? It's an improper fraction. It's greater than 1. So this is greater than 1. That means I'm going to go all the way over here. This is 1 pi, right? So this is just 3 over 3 pi plus 1/3 pi. 3 plus 1 is 4. So this is just 1 pi right here plus another 1/3 pi. That would be about right here. Actually, yeah, that's fine. Okay, negative 2 pi over 3 would be the same thing because they are coterminal. So you have to understand, you have to look at these reference angles and decide for yourself, where would I see this, okay? If you're having trouble, maybe you want to convert it to degrees. 4 pi over 3 is, I think, like 300. No, it's like 210 degrees, I think. 4 pi over 3. If you convert it, it'll be about 210 degrees. So it'll be, actually, I think it's 240 degrees. Yeah, sorry. So it'll be about 240 degrees. That place is about right here. Okay, you can do that, or you can just kind of deduce from here. Well, I go to pi, I go 1/3 past that. 1/3 of the way over here. Okay, I understand this is hard, but that's why we're doing this practice. Part C, what quadrant are they in? 1, 2, 3. They're in quadrant 3. Okay, almost done. Let me just do the last two. Let me do it on this paper so I can... Okay, number 9. This is where I made things hard, but it's okay. This stuff, well, it's just the same thing as before. Okay, what if I add 2 pi to this? What did 8? Let's see. I want to add 2 pi to this and see if it did this number right here, because then I can know the coterminal or not. How do I did a 5? How did I get this to be over 5? Well, all I'm asking is what divided by 5 is 2. What's 2 times 5? That's 10. So this would be negative 11 pi plus 10 over 5 pi. Okay, that would be negative 1 pi over 5. Am I here yet? No. I'm actually quite a bit of ways. Sorry. I'm quite a bit away from that. Negative 1 over 5 pi is not the same. It's not even close to this, right? This is much larger. So what I want to do, let me add one more rotation, right? Because I could go 2 pi around, or 4 pi around, or 6 pi, 8 pi, 10 pi, right? It just is more rotations around. I still end in the same spot. So I could go as many rotations as I want to get to where I want to be, which is here. I want to be here. Let me see if I can do that. So, again, negative 1 over 5 pi, right there, plus 10 over 5, negative 1 plus 10. 10 minus 1 is 9, therefore, negative 1 plus 10 is 9. Are these the same? They're not. So, they are not coterminal. No. What's the graph look like? Okay, pi over 2 and pi. This negative 11 over 5, well, I know if this was 10, negative 10 divided by 5 would be negative 2 pi. Since this is a little bit above 10, since it's 11, I know that negative 11 over 5 will be a little bit over negative 2 pi. Right, what I'm saying is negative 11 over 5 is a little bit less than negative 2. So I do a little bit more. Okay, I'm just using my mental math here. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the negative direction. I'm doing 1 full rotation and then negative 1/5 more. Because negative 11 over 5 pi is equal to negative 10 over 5 pi minus another 1/5, right? Negative 10 minus 1 is negative 11. Okay, so I'm doing a little bit more, and that's negative 11 over 5 pi. Now what about 8 over 5 pi? Well, 8 divided by 5 is more than 1, right? 8 is more than 5. Therefore, I'm going to go a little bit this way. I'm going to go past pi right here. What happens now? How much more do I have left? 5 over 5 pi plus 3 over pi over 5. Right, so I can go all the way to pi because this is 5 over 5 pi. Now what do I have left? I have this part left. So I'll go 3/5 of the way to 2 pi. Right? So I went 5 over 5 pi over here. Now I have 3/5 more to go. So 3/5 of this section would be about right here, okay? So they're very close, but they're just barely off. What quadrant are they in? 1, 2, 3, 4. They're in quadrant number 4, okay? That one's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying that with mental math and practice, this stuff, you can do it. Let's do the last one. 7 pi over 4 and negative 3 pi over 4. Okay, let me add 2 pi to 3 pi over 4. I want a I want a 4 down here. Okay, what times 2, what times 4, 2 times 4 is 8. So negative 3 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4. Now what's that? 8 minus 3 is 5 pi over 4. Yeah, so negative 3 plus 8 is 5. I'm left with 5 pi over 4. Are they the same? They are not the same. Right, so they are not coterminal. Because this is not equal to this. So even if I add a rotation, it still doesn't match up. Okay, this would be pi over 2, 2 pi, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Now, I linked some videos, in case you still don't really understand what I'm doing here, I linked some videos that really help us explain this. You see if these have a 4 on the bottom, but these don't. So how is Mr. Ryan doing this? How am I, how am I deducing, like, where it's at? Well, when I look at this, what I see, I don't see these numbers. What I'm seeing is 2 pi over 4, right? Because 2 divided by 4 is that, right? These are the same number, right? 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. So these are the same number, okay? This would be 4 over 4 pi, because 4 divided by 4 is 1. This is 1 pi. 3 pi over 2. That's equal to 6 pi over 4. And that's equal to 8 pi over 4. So when I look at this graph, I'm seeing these numbers. 2 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, 8 pi over 4. Now it's easy, because these all have 4s on the bottom. But I don't care about that. I just want to see how large the numerator is, because this is 2, 4, 6, 8. Where do these lie? Where's 7 pi over 4? Well, I know 7 is between 6 and 8. Therefore, 7 pi over 4 would be between 6 and 8. It'll be right here. Right? This would be 7 pi over 4, because this is 6, this is 8, 7 is between them, and they both have 4s on the bottom, so it's okay for me to compare like that. These original fractions and numbers, it wasn't okay. I just had to kind of go based on my mental math. But now it's easy for me, okay? Negative 3 pi over 4, well, if I go from here, I know I'm going negative 2 pi over 4, because it's the opposite of this, right? And this would be negative 4 pi over 4. Negative 3 is between negative 2 and negative 4. Therefore, it'd be like that right there. Okay, what quadrant are they in? 7 pi over 4 is in 1, 2, 3, 4. It's in quadrant 4. And 1, 2, 3. Negative 3 pi over 4 is in quadrant 3. Okay, so this completes the assignment. I understand this is quite a bit of work. I did give you quite a bit of time, but if you're still stuck, please just keep watching the video. I am linking videos and pictures to help you out. Especially for like this problem and this problem. This stuff is hard, right? Drawing the graph is a bit tricky, because you have to think in terms of graphs and numbers, you have to visualize it, you have to do the mental math in your head. It's hard. I don't expect you to be a genius at this, right? Like, even I still have to write this all out for me to do this in my mind. So, I understand this might be tricky, but I want you to do it for practice, and this will help us a lot later on in the class. And also, being able to think visually like this and deduce, oh, I know this is 2 pi over 4. I know this is 4 pi over 4. 6 pi over 4, 8 pi over 4. I know this must be true because it's fractions, right? They're the same fraction, common fractions. Now I can visualize it. Now I can think about it, okay? So putting something in the right perspective and critically thinking about it will help you a lot, not only in this practice, but also in general, right? So the reason why I'm doing this, like, I know this would be a lot of work, but I want you to think about this and visualize it and think in your head and apply the videos and pictures to your work, okay? You need to think about this on your own. I'm just kind of helping you, guiding you along. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you later. Thank you.